Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
We are back after a little hiatus. We're back. We're back, Grumpy. We're back.
And, you know, one thing that never changes is TJ running late. This is at 8 o'clock. Just why don't you tell us up front how this podcast works? Why don't you explain it to us?
Yes. For those of you who are new, welcome to the show. We invite you to stick around a while. We invite you a cordial invitation to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. It's how you make sure you don't miss out on any of the action. This is a podcast that happens every single Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You may be looking down at the clock and saying, well, hold on a second. Right now, it's almost 10 Eastern Standard Time. I know we were late. I knew I was going to be a little late today. I didn't know how late. But yes, we're running late today. Grumpy was the one who kept me so late.
What?
No,
everyone knows that's not true. Here's the thing. When I say things, people believe them because I'm truthful. You're just a bald-faced liar.
Oh, is that really what it is, huh, Grump?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, man, it feels good to be back. We took a little bit of time off from this channel and TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. So got a chance to get our energy revved up, getting ready for this offseason. I mean, lots happened since the last podcast, Grumpy. The Rangers have been eliminated from the playoffs, obviously, so I don't have to worry about getting crucified. That's good news.
Well, the biggest thing in Islander Kingdom was Jim Hiller and John Gruden were both relieved of their duties as assistant coaches.
See you later.
Yeah, so much for keeping the band together.
No problem. I guess Lambert has a little bit different things in mind.
Yes, he does. Which is fine. I mean,
yes.
whatever they did last year didn't work.
Straight. I mean, there's no debating that. Excuses aside. That being said, we also do have a second podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man that happens every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You could find that in the link in description below, or you can find that here as a featured page on YouTube. You could see here, Grumpy, TJ and the Grumpy. I'll zoom in for you too. TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. You go ahead and hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any of the action. Again, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a podcast where we talk all things sports. We shoot the shit. I mean, we talk NHL, we talk NBA, we talk NFL, we talk college sports, we talk MLB, we talk anything and everything sports. And we have a most favorite fan segment, Grumpy, Fan Fights.
Love them. And everyone who can look at this featured page on YouTube, look at how TJ, big letters, red, look at me, I'm TJ, I'm the star of the show. And then the little grumpy old man down underneath. Interesting.
I'll be honest with you, somebody made it for us, and I was not saying no thank you. So it's as simple as that, Grumpy.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Gotcha. And my internet may be a little spotty today. I was having a little trouble getting the Ethernet hooked up, so I have to look into that after the podcast. I didn't want to delay it any further. We couldn't be starting at 2 hours late. I was expecting maybe 1 hour late, and of course, became 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Now, this is a different setup for you, it looks like?
Yes, this is a different setup. I know it looks pretty similar. Only see like two black areas here. But yes, a little bit of a different setup. And no, it will not be always so oddly off-center. We're adding another one of these bookshelves here. My wife likes to read, so this is where the books go. Trust me, you'll see all the books on here. I read none of those, so don't have to worry about that.
I don't think we're going out on a limb saying that, yeah, we don't think you like to read. Obviously, you don't even know how to read comments. How did War and Peace end? Of course, DJ, they never even fought.
I couldn't even tell you what I assume that's about some sort of battle, but I couldn't tell you more than that about War and Peace, Grump.
Okay.
Oh man, I'll tell you.
So if TJ read the Bible, the devil would come out winning at the end. That's all I'm saying. With the way
his reading to the end of Leviticus,
his reading comprehension's a little lacking, shall we say.
Oh man, I tell you, that's to say the least. Also, another housekeeping item. We're in the NHL playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. The NHL finals, Stanley Cup finals, that is. So Grumpy and I are going to be doing something a little different as well during these Stanley Cup finals. Grump, I think we discussed this a little bit, but we're going to be going live during some of these NHL final games.
Okay. That's fine with me.
Yes. So to give you the schedule the games are going live in, by the way, we're live streaming during the first game, game one. It's a 3-3 tie between Colorado and Tampa Bay.
And
Tampa Bay,
Vasilevsky looked mighty weak on the first 2 goals.
really?
Those were 2 bad goals to give up. They were down 3-1 going in the second period. I know that much.
I'm thinking, Grumpy, this Saturday, we do the game. We cover the game because there might be a slow action week. We can also talk about Islanders hockey during that, but we're going to talk specifically about we could cover that game and do the live stream. We'll cover this Saturday's game, which is June the 18th. We'll cover this Monday's game, which is June the 20th. We will then proceed to cover Friday's game, which is going to be June the 24th. That would be game 5 if necessary. We'll cover game 6, which will be a Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be June the 26th. And if they have a game 7, you better well damn bet we'll cover game 7, June the 28th on a Tuesday. You will also see guest appearances from show regulars there, Andy Francis, as well as Phil Fax. So you also happen to see them on the show as well, Grump.
Oh,
I know you're going to have to go ahead and take some sort of caffeine pill to keep you up when Phil's on the show, Grumpy.
He is so boring.
Oh, good gracious, man. Good gracious. I tell you, over this time period, right, we were on break. We were on holiday, Grumpy, taking a little vacation. I've just been boning up on the NHL draft. And you know what? I feel like I'm going to be in a situation on draft night or maybe a few days beforehand to where I'm going to be utterly disappointed because we are going to be trading away our first round pick. I just have that feeling. I've got that gut feeling. Kind of gets you an upset stomach a little bit. You go, ugh.
I don't believe in trading away first round picks. We all know that, particularly if it's not going to make much of a difference. I just want to touch on some things since you've been gone for so long. And I know I've been sending you information as it happens, but I've gotten, of course, no correspondence from TJ whatsoever. I don't know if he read any of these things I sent him. Bruce Cassidy wound up getting fired from Boston, and he was like almost immediately hired by Vegas. What does that say about Barry Trotz? I mean, he interviewed in Vegas. I guess they didn't feel he was a fit with a team that has the possibility to contend for a Stanley Cup.
I tell you, I mean, Cassidy's a good coach. Cassidy, though, I'll say, has really put the. Hey, I'll be honest with you. For Cassidy's career, this is good. I mean, Boston's on the way. I think Boston's on the way down. Personally,
I was gonna say I think we're gonna make the playoffs next year. Maybe as the 8th seed or 7th, but I think we will because I think Boston's going to take a tumble. I'm just looking at the guys that they're talking about. None of them have NHL coaching experience. I mean, none of them. You think Lane Lambert was a reach? I'm looking at some of these names. I'm like, who the hell are these guys? And they're going to be in for a period of transition. Now, Bruce Cassidy's a really, really good coach. 6 straight years making the playoffs. He got fired after making the playoffs this year. So,
no results. No real results in there. Grumpy, I'm going to use the restroom, but I want you to continue to talk, and I will listen. I will bump up the volume on my computer. I'll listen to what you're saying. I'll be back.
Okay, again, TJ just started the podcast not 10 minutes ago, and he already has to go to the bathroom. He has some health issues. I'm serious. I don't know what they are. I honestly don't even care at this point, but he needs to catheterize himself or have a little bucket that he can pee in during the show because this is unacceptable. Some of the other news going around, it seems like there's a frenzy of the Islanders wanting to give away Oliver Wahlstrom and first-round draft picks and every other young prospect that we have in the minors for Kevin Fiala. The more I'm thinking about Kevin Fiala, he's the last guy that I want. He's done nothing in the playoffs the last couple of years. I don't want a guy like that on the team. Sorry. He's small. He's slight. I'd much rather have Johnny Gaudreau, honestly. Fiala got hot the last month or 2 of the season in a contract year. As everyone knows, that's a big red flag for me. And I don't want Kevin Fiala, particularly because you have to give up assets as well as sign him to a big contract extension. So that's a no-go for me. I'm all in on Johnny Gaudreau, honestly. That's the guy that I want. And if you really want to make a trade, Oliver Wahlstrom's off the table for me. I'm sorry. He's not a guy I'm looking to move. There are other guys that are guys that I'd be willing to move, like Anthony Beauvillier, but I'm not getting rid of a 21-year-old sniper. Not happening. Maybe in a trade for Chikrin or somebody else of that ilk. But it has to be a legit top 4 defenseman, as we've talked about numerous times before. I did read an article from Kevin Kurtz of The Athletic, and he was bringing about, corners, who is at risk of like a roster setup for next year. Locks to stay. He had, Sorokin and Dobson as young cornerstones. Agree with that. Then locks to say core pieces tier. And he had Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulock, Matt Barzal, Brock Nelson, and Anders Lee. And the reason he gave for Anders Lee, and here's the thing, I agree with most all of those, with the exception of Anders Lee, particularly for the reason that he gave why Anders Lee should be somebody who's like a core piece. Because he's the captain, and there's no way the Islanders would risk upending their culture by dealing away the most important player in that regard. I'm sorry. I could care less. If the culture of this team is dependent on Anders Lee being there, we're not in that good a shape. I'm sorry. He underproduces every year. And here's the thing, it might be difficult to move him, but he's certainly not, in my opinion, a core piece of this team. He just isn't. If I could move him today, I would have moved him yesterday. And it was the same thing I remember a couple of years ago when Tavares left and Arthur Staple did what do you want to do with blah, blah, blah. And someone suggested, how about moving Anders Lee? He's like, well, you couldn't lose your captain 2 years in a row. What kind of message does that send? Well, you know what the message it sends to me? We're trying to make this team better. We don't give a shit if you've been on the team for 100,000 years. It doesn't matter. It's about producing and performing. Anders Lee doesn't do that. He's never done that, with the exception of the year that he played with John Tavares. He was really good with John Tavares. If John Tavares was still here, yes, I'd keep Anders Lee. They're a good match. There is no match for Anders Lee on this team right now. Just is none. And as far as Brock Nelson goes, I would keep him right now, because, we do supposedly want to contend next year. But if things go south during the season, he's a prime guy to move at the deadline, in my opinion.
I want to talk a little bit. You'd mentioned about Kevin Fiala. I know you said you're not big on Kevin Fiala. It kind of just depends on what the asking price is. Again, a trusted source we have was able to, again, nobody knows with Lou Lamoriello. The feeling is amongst pro scouts that Lou may trade the first pick, may trade the first round pick. Again, nobody has any freaking idea, though. He or she did go ahead and tip us in on, because, again,
how many women, hold on. How many woman sources do we have on the show? I'm going to say it's none.
We have female listeners, Grumpy. I want to say 99.999% of all listeners of the Islanders Never Say Die podcast and TJ and the Grumpy Old Man are females.
That's because I'm on the show. But here's the thing. That's not the source of this story. You can say it's a guy because it is not a woman. Don't lie. Don't even lead the people on. Nobody believes you. Nobody believes you. When you try to, let me play KGTJ. Woo, it doesn't work. No, sorry.
Well, again, they don't know, obviously. Nobody really has a feeling on that, but more people are leaning towards they're probably trading that first round pick. Also heard that if they are more than willing to part ways with William Dufour. If that's a piece, right, that needs to be included, and I'm not opposed to that either, right? Now, let me ask you this, Grumpy. Let's say Kevin Fiala costs something like William Dufour a first and plus another middle tier prospect. Would you be willing to do that? That changes my outlook. If we're able to keep Oliver Wahlstrom and we don't have to go ahead and part ways with Atu Ratu and give up a first, William Dufour, and some other prospect, like some other prospect, name it, as long as they're not Atu Ratu or, a young guy like Oliver Wahlstrom, I think I'm more in favor of a deal like that.
Okay. I'm not a fan of Kevin Fiala. Just not. Sorry.
Not at all.
No, he's a little pissant. No physicality to his game. Sorry. And once again, you show up the last 2 months in your contract year. But yeah, no, thank you. He's an okay regular season player. That's what he is. I'd want Johnny Gaudreau. I don't want to have to give up because you're going to need defensemen too. You have to move some forwards. You're going to have to pick up a top 4 defenseman, and then then I'm going after Johnny Gaudreau. I'm going hard after him. I'm offering him big money. We have the money. Anyone who tells you any different, they're foolish. They don't know what they're talking
not
about.
creative. They think in this little square box.
Yeah. Like no one could get moved off of this team. Well, guess what? To bring in a
Every
forward
part of our team is consequential, Grumpy. If we lose one player, we're finished. We're done.
Yeah, like I said, for me, anytime you're going to have to give up assets to get a top 4 defenseman. Just going to have to do that. You don't have enough assets to get a top 4 defenseman and a Kevin Fiala in a
trade for a top 4 defenseman and trade for Kevin Fiala.
Yes, you do not have enough assets, not enough movable assets, unless you want to. But then you're not going to blow it up.
Trade away this year's first round pick and next year's first round pick, Grumpy. Wouldn't that just be fantastic?
That's a fireable offense of Lou Lamoriello on the spot. No, sorry, that trade's not going through when he's gone. No, sorry. I don't care that you're 950 years old. This franchise is going to go on long after you're dead. So you cannot be trading our whole future array away for some panty waste winger who can fit with Matt Barzal, but won't do anything in the playoffs. We got enough of those guys on the team. Anders Lee.
Oh, man.
Brock Nelson.
And I do want to mention something really quickly here, Grumpy. Scott L. Happy birthday, Scott L. Happy birthday. We got a little happy birthday there.
Scott. You know, Scott, I love Scott. I love his picture. He's
one of the early listeners, Grumpy, of the show, if you remember.
That's right. One of the first, and he's that legendary picture. Never changed it. Just love it. Happy birthday, Scott.
Absolutely. Happy birthday. And the reason I think that we are so opposed, and I'll make this point, as clear as we can, to trading this year's first round pick. I think when you're sitting at spot, when you're sitting in the mid into early teens, you're always going to have one guy who falls. Think about Matt Barzal. He was a guy in a situation, right? He was injured his draft class year, but fell to the Islanders. And the Islanders were able to get a real deal. I mean, the Islanders are drafting right now at 13th. And you look at this year's draft, right? You think to yourself, okay, you could easily have, let's say people looking defense, right? You could see Kevin Korchinski, right? He may go early, right? He may go before that 13. You may start to see a rush on defensemen. The Pavel Minjakovic. I can't pronounce her name, but Grumpy, Pavel Minjukov. That's how I think you pronounce it. You may start to see a lot of these defensemen go early, right? You may have one of those forwards that fall to you, right? I've seen Brad Lambert all over the board. I've seen guys like Gecky all over the boards. You may have a gem that falls to you if you preemptively trade the pick before it's your spot to draft. I think that you just completely eschew the ability that you could find a real steal in the draft. That's one of those things where I'm like, if you could wait, say everybody you want and valued highly is off the board at that time period, and you could then make the trade, sure, do it. I don't want to see us preemptively making a move before draft day or of the draft day before our pick. You have no idea who is going to be on the board at that point.
Somebody will drop. Every single year, players drop. Every single year.
Yes.
And here's the thing. I don't want to give away a first-round pick because guess what? We don't have anybody in our farm system. Maybe Atu Ratu. Maybe. I'm going to tell you what. It's not Simon Holmstrom. That much I can guarantee you. I've seen him play. He blows out loud. He sucks. For a guy who's played 3 years in the AHL, he sucks. Okay? Josh Bailey 2.0 is an insult to Josh Bailey. Let me just put it to you that way. That's how bad he was when I watched him in back-to-back games. He is not good enough. Maybe on his best day, a third-line winger. Maybe. He's got no toughness. He won't go to the front of the net. He's looking for a home run pass periodically. That's it. And he gets bullied. They run him, and he's got no fight. I'm sorry. He's, like I said, I called him Josh Bailey 2.0 on draft night. I'm sticking with that. just because I hate Josh Bailey so much, and it's an insult to him.
Jesus Christ.
But Ratu looked like he had the ability to play. You mentioned William Defoe earlier. I don't think he's that good a skater. That's why he needs to work on skating. Well, if you can't skate at this level, I'm sorry. And once again, he's a prospect. He's a guy who's never played in the bigs, never played in the AHL. He's an overage junior, and he had a great year. He's up for league MVP. But still, is that going to stop me from getting a high-end talent? No, not at all.
Here's the thing, too, about William Defoe. Has a fantastic year in the Q. Again, the Q is a freaking gallery range for shooters and scorers. It just is. You'll say, oh, well, he set the record for the St. John Sea Dogs. He broke Jonathan Huberdeau's record for most points in a season. Yeah, he's overaged, right? I don't want to take anything away because he did score a lot of goals and assist on a lot of goals. That being said, if you feel like he doesn't have the skating, you should know him better than any other team knows him. You should know, hey, skating's a big weakness of his. We think he's capped out on skating. We look at his stride, right? There's certain areas he just won't be able to improve on with his stride, right? There's certain spots where he'll have hitches and he just won't be able to improve that regarding his game, right? You should know that. And if that's a guy, right, now's the time to sell high on him. I don't disagree with that. It wouldn't be shocked at all. If he has value, move a guy like that. And it's funny, right? Because we usually say keep the prospects, keep the young guys. Yeah, you got to be able to skate in order to play in the NHL, though.
Very true. Very, very true.
Yes, Grumpy. So, we're not in favor of trading this first round pick, as we've mentioned plenty other times. But Grump, let me ask you this. Who are you eyeing if we keep our pick, right? Because, man, the NHL draft is right around the corner. What is it, Grumpy, like 2-3 weeks away?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think something like July, somewhere in July, beginning of July, I believe.
It's gotta be like 3 weeks away.
Yeah, okay.
Let me ask you, who are you eyeing? Have you done research? Who are you looking for, Grumpy, at that spot?
I want a high-end forward. That's a forward who can skate. That's what I want. I mean, someone's going to drop to us that we don't expect to. Someone will drop. There's some guys who are kind of all over the board. Someone will drop to us. I don't want a defenseman. Just don't. Why don't I want a defenseman? Okay, look at who you have. You got Pelech. You got Pulak. They're cemented in there for the next 6-7 years, right? The both of them. You got Dobson, 21 years old. He's going to be cemented there. Whoever you pick up as your other top 4 defenseman is going to be cemented there. You're going to need bottom pair. You're going to need bottom pair help, easily replaceable, right? I mean, where's our greatest need? It's forwards. It's guys who can put the puck in the net, guys who can skate. We're the slowest team in the league with no offensive ability except for one guy on the whole team. So we have one guy in the forward group, one guy. The whole forward group, one guy. We need more of those guys.
The only defenseman I would even consider is Pavel Minyakov. That's the only one. I'm not looking at Korchinski. I'm not looking at Mattinchuk. I'm not looking at those guys, right? Mattinchuk, a smaller guy, 5'11", right? 5'11" defenseman. Not looking for a small guy like that. He is quicker, right? He's more of an offensive-minded defenseman. That's technically a type of player that, potentially we do need, that we're looking to trade for or acquire via free agency this offseason. But, when I'm looking at Pavel Minyakov, I think he transferred from forward a year or 2 years ago, and they looked at his development. He's a guy who's really shot up the boards this year. He's a guy who's performed extremely well under a full year, right? Because last year was with COVID. He was going through that transition of position, and then he played really well with a year under his belt. That's a guy where I could say you could really find yourself a gem. That's why I wouldn't be shocked if a guy like that shoots up the board and gets way overdrafted. He's sitting at number 7 or 8, or somebody really reaches on him, and you start to see maybe a little bit, okay, Minyakov goes, and then you see maybe Korchinski goes, and you start to see a few defensemen, right? Because those are the top 3 defensemen in this year, or those are 3 big defensemen. I'm sorry. The best defenseman, Nimick. Okay. But I mean, like, you might start to see a run on defenseman. I was going to say Nimick, but you might see a run on those 3 guys, and you might start to see a few forwards drop, right? And that's best case scenario for us. Don't even give us the opportunity or option to pick a defenseman, to be quite frank.
Here's the thing. The guy you mentioned who is just learning how to play defense, absolutely not. He's the last guy in the world I'd want on this team. So he doesn't really know how to play defense because he's been a winger his whole life. No, sorry. How does that work with the way our team is run? A guy who's never played defense for 1 year?
No, 2 years. I think it's 2 years. He played for 2 years. Or maybe it's 3. He was naturally a forward. He played forward. Maybe he played forward when he was young and a young teenager and made the transition from defense. It wasn't like this is a kid who's been playing defense since the beginning of his date of birth, and he's been playing that position the whole time.
Okay. I don't want a defenseman. I just don't. You have Robin Salo, who can easily step in and plays our style of hockey. You're going to have to replace Scott Mayfield. He will not be re-signed next year. He's just going to cost too much. He should have been traded. Here's the thing. I guarantee you he'll be traded at the deadline next year. If we're not firmly entrenched in a playoff spot, he's a guy that has to be moved. Same with Semyon Varlamov. Those are the type of guys who should be moved, maybe even this offseason if you have to. Anything to restock the cupboards, anything to make the big team better. I mean, Scott Mayfield, as much as, and then I love him. Everyone on the show knows how much I like Scott Mayfield. He's a bottom pairing defenseman for us. He's a guy who's worth a lot to some other team, Toronto perhaps. I mean, how about a package to get a William Nylander? Now that's something I could get behind, honestly. Not a Kevin Fiala, not that little pissant, but a William Nylander, absolutely, I'm all for that.
All I'll say is this, Grumpy. I know you're not looking for defense, right? If certain guys fall, I'm all down for it. That's a guy who's more of a high risk, high reward type of item. You say you want fast. I mean, he's a fast defenseman. He's a defenseman that does provide offensive pop. He's a guy who's, who does it right. He's a bigger guy. I think he's 6'1", 6'2". He's a guy who can go ahead and play a little bit on both sides, Grump. And I think that's, if a guy like that is sitting around and you say, maybe the forward group isn't what we wanted. We don't like him because he can't skate. We don't like the big rig. We don't like Gecky because he's a little slower, 6'4". He's more of a big power forward. We don't like somebody like that. It just kind of depends on the situation. I'll be very interested to see who falls. There will be somebody who falls to us. I freaking guarantee you that. If we keep our pick, somebody will fall to us in that spot. It's not like every single player based off of ranking goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just not how it goes. You see a lot of teams that reach all over the place, and some teams didn't like the way a kid interviewed or didn't like what their scouts saw on tape and didn't like what they saw in person, and a kid might slip. There will be somebody who falls. We have to make sure it's the same thing that happened to Aatu Ratu last year. It won't be as severe as Aatu Ratu dropping to the second round, but you've seen what happens when you're able to target a guy who slips and falls and you're able to, acquire that guy. You've seen what it is. I mean, you've seen how valuable a guy like Aatu Ratu could be that you snag in the second round.
Yeah. When you're talking first round pick, you're looking for more of a sure thing. And I've always said, at the first round, you should get somebody who you could really target. Yeah, this guy can contribute. Not a Simon Holmstrom. Everyone said, man, he's a second round pick at best. Injury prone his whole junior career. Picked him in the first round. And then you look at the guys directly underneath him, scoring in the NHL. This guy is not even going to sniff the NHL next year. Mark my words. He will not play for the Islanders next year. I wanted him to play for the Islanders at the tail end of the season. He would have embarrassed the whole organization if they would have called him up. He's terrible.
Is it that worse?
He's terrible. I'm sorry. He just I was looking at him. That I wanted to look at the younger guys. I didn't give a crap about the older guys. I wanted to look at the younger players. Parker Wotherspoon. Nope, sorry. Van de Sample. He was okay. Grant Hutton was good. Salo was pretty good. Ratu was good. McLean was really good. Those are the type of guys I'm looking at. Simon Holmstrom, no, he blows. Sorry.
McLean? You mean McMichael?
No, McLean. McLean, the Islanders. John McLean's son. And I don't even think he's under contract for next year. Hold
on. John McLean. What?
John McLean's son. He used to play for the Devils. Playing for Bridgeport. I talked about him.
Oh, gotcha. I remember. Okay, I do remember you mentioning him. For whatever reason, when I'm thinking John McClane, I'm thinking movie star.
Yeah. Well, that's Bruce Willis. John McClane was a character that he played in Die Hard, but that's okay.
Ah, that's why it's ringing a bell. I'm like, why the hell is John McClane sounding like something I've seen in movies?
Yeah. Okay. But like I said, McClane looked good. Some guys look good and look like, okay, this guy's got a shot. Simon Holmstrom, not one of those guys. And here's the thing, it's not like it's his first year in the league, in the AHL, not like he was just there, for 3 or 4 weeks like Atu Ratu. No, he's been there for 3 freaking years. And they baby fed this kid and given him every single opportunity. Sorry, he's not going to make it. Like I said, best case scenario, third line winger. That's best case.
Best case scenario is somebody loves him and we include him in a trade this offseason. That's best case scenario, Grumpy. Somebody overvalues him, just like somebody overvalued Griffin Reinhart years ago.
I'm just going to say that if somebody needed Simon Holmstrom as an add-in piece, see you later. No, okay. Oh, really? He's the guy you want? Let's think about. Oh, yeah, no problem. Let's make that deal. He's not an impediment to any deal being made. Not at
How would that go, Grove? If I'm calling you up and saying, hey, Lou, we've got a first rounder. We've got William DeFore. And I think the guy we want is Simon Holmstrom. Is that something you're willing to do?
And who am I getting back?
You're getting back Kevin Fiala. This is like a Kevin Fiala.
I don't want the pissant. I don't want the pissant.
Okay, whoever the hell you want. Let's start. Okay, it's shit, Grumpy.
That's his name is Pissant. He's the pissant.
I'm just trying to throw a situation. I'm just saying Minnesota needs more prospects is what they're looking for. So I think it kind of geared more towards them.
Can I just say one thing about the whole Fiala thing? It's great to, roster bait on how we're gonna, get
roster bait. That's exactly what we're doing too, is roster baiting.
I know. But if Minnesota really wants to get maximum value for the pissant, they'll move him to other teams. There's other teams that are in better situations prospect-wise who can pick up the pissant, without a doubt. I want Johnny Gaudreau. Then you can make a hockey trade to get yourself that top forward left-hand shot defenseman. That's what you want. That's what you want. You sign a high level free agent like a Johnny Gaudreau, even more than Forsberg. I want Johnny Gaudreau. I just do.
And I apologize, guy. Oh, real quickly. I apologize. I know I've been getting a lot of social media messages. When I was on vacation, I wasn't looking at them. When I come back, I've been sick since, so I haven't had a chance to look at any of them. I told Grumpy, I said, Grumpy, when I get back, I got back on late Saturday evening. I said, on Sunday, Grumpy, I'm going to start messaging. We're going to start getting our guest schedule set up. I didn't do any of that. I didn't do anything that I was trying to get done this weekend. I just been sick to my stomach the last few days, so have been unable to manage to do that. Been sleeping a lot of hours, but yes, we will be doing that soon. I will be responding back to all the messages as well. And
I just want to let everyone know I'm going to see the Lightyear movie today, even though I heard there's a homosexual kiss in a PG movie. I don't get that at all. So I'm going to watch that movie. Next week, I'm going to see Elvis, which I'm dying to see, and Black Phone, I think, is another movie that's out there. At least that's what the people are telling me. So I'm going to go see Black Phone, I think.
Black Phone.
Phone.
How expensive is it to go to the movies?
For me, it's free.
No, you go for free. But do you know how much the tickets are? Did you ever inquire with the people? Okay.
Why would I? I go to get in for free. Free popcorn, free drink, free whatever I want. That's why I like it.
Is it because they know you're the grumpy old man? Is that why you get in for free, Grump?
They know me. I'm very popular.
I don't think they're giving out free tickets because you're popular.
They know me. I'm very popular. Like, hell yeah. I get calls. Hey, we're doing advanced screening of this. Do you want to come? Oh, yeah, sure.
Who do you know, Grumpy, that gives you free movie tickets?
Important people.
Important people. You don't want to out them. I understand, Grumpy. You don't want them
people who work in the movie business. People who work in the movie business. I get to see
the movies. People work in the business, Grumpy. People who work in the business. Oh, man, oh, man.
The movie business.
Yes. So we talked. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I saw what I see last week. I saw something else last week. I can't.
You saw Top Gun a while ago. I remember you telling me about that.
So far, Top Gun's probably the best movie I've seen. I was hoping something would happen at the end. It didn't. But I'm thinking differently as I get a little bit older. I want impact in my movies. I don't want to look for another sequel. I want things to end at some point in time. So,
Man. All righty, Grumpy. All righty. I couldn't tell you I watch any movies, so I don't watch cinema.
really? We know your synopsis is pretty bad.
Hey, you want to know what? I did listen to the radio today. Not on a Friday, because I was like, okay, I did listen to the radio though, Grumpy. I was jamming away some radio on the way home from work today. So treated myself. A little treat yourself. That being said, we talked a little bit about what we're thinking with the draft, what we want to do with the pick. Again, there will be somebody who falls to us. We'll take a little bit of a deeper dive as we get closer, exactly who we think could fall, perhaps, and what strengths and weaknesses are, and we'll make a case as to why we would want the Islanders, if that guy's on the board, the Islanders to draft them. That being said, you mentioned and talked a little bit about Bruce Cassidy leaving town, and you mentioned a little bit about how come Barry Trotz hasn't signed anywhere yet, Grumpy. You mentioned that, right?
Does he want to coach anymore? Right? Winnipeg offered him. Philadelphia offered him. I mean, he interviewed at Vegas. I don't know if Vegas didn't want him or if he turned him down. I mean, I think they did better off with Bruce Cassidy than Barry Trotz, to be honest with you. I mean, that's a coup for Vegas. I'm not a big Peter DeBoer fan. Bruce Cassidy's a good coach. I would have loved to see him come to our team, honestly. You want to see some real talk? He's not afraid to rip veterans or young players. You don't perform, you get ripped. You don't perform, you sit. Josh Bailey, Anders Lee. Sorry, that's just the way it goes. I realize that Lou knows they got all these old guys who live in the beer league all these years. We got to, smooth their little egos because they all live in the same cul-de-sac or whatever it is. But Bruce Cassidy would upset the apple cart a little bit. That's a good move by Vegas.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I think it was, I know you're not a Peter DeBoer fan. I think that Cassidy there is a good move, I think, for all parties. I said before, right? I think Cassidy got out right at the right time. He got released at the right time. I mean, like that Boston, I know you said that, and you annexed it saying you think the Islanders are going to make the playoffs next year. I think Boston is on the way down. I think Boston's goalie situation, if they fully commit to Swayman, will be better. But I think they're going to be a team that they've got a lot of work to do. Boston there's a lot of teams that have a lot of work to do. Boston in the past hasn't been a team that has a lot of work to do. I would argue now Boston's one of those teams that, in the offseason, they've got quite a bit of work to do. I mean, Bergeron leaving is a huge hole. Is Marchand leaving as well? You know what I mean? Like, you wonder those type of things. Who's leaving, based off of the way they exited the ice on that playoff series when they got beaten.
I'm just going to say that Bergeron might leave. Marchand's not going anywhere. I think they're looking at some of these younger coaches. And I think they are because Cassidy likes to play his veterans too. Don't get that. Don't mix that up. He likes to play his veterans too, but I think they're going with the youth movement. Do they have the right young pieces? I have no idea.
You like this one, Grumpy? Thanks for that, Drew. I figured you would like this because it's an oldie, Grumpy. This is Bugs Bunny. You know who he is.
Really? Is that Bugs Bunny? I didn't know.
You know who that is, where he goes, no. I want Johnny Gaudreau. Lou Lamoriello says no, Grumpy. He says no. Kind of shifting gears. I don't know, right? If Barry Trotz didn't want to coach, why is he interviewing for head coaching positions? Doesn't make sense. If you don't want to coach, why are you interviewing? It's not just one head coaching position. Interviewed 3 different freaking places at least. He interviewed in Vegas, interviewed in Philadelphia, and interviewed in Winnipeg. If you didn't want to coach, you're not taking interviews all over God's creation. Sorry, you can't convince me otherwise. Maybe he wants a coach, but he wants it at a certain price. He wants a certain dollar amount. Oh, you saw what I did with the Islanders. I need a certain. Maybe he wants a certain dollar amount. Maybe he's looking for the perfect scenario. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to wait until the right opportunity comes around. I have no idea. But you don't interview for 3 head coaching positions if you have no intention on coaching again. I just call BS on that.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's so lost. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's gone out of here.
If you're retiring, Grumpy, you said, I'm going to interview for 3 different jobs. I'm just going to see what's out there. Maybe I won't retire.
You know something? I did that. I wanted to see what people had to offer. As soon as I retired, I got a couple offers. I'm like, no. You can put up the Bugs Bunny picture. No.
No.
But I listened. I listened. Nothing wrong with listening. I think he does. I think he does want to get hired, though. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't care.
Most people do not interview for additional jobs if they don't want it.
I'm glad he's gone out of here. That's all I'm saying. We were not going to win under him. Period.
Yep.
He got the most out of this team. That's why I'm saying the team needs to change. It's not the coach.
That's here now. Alexander sent us here a message saying that rejected. Philadelphia offered Barry Trotz a multi-year contract with $7+ million of salary. He declined. I don't know who the source is on that, but
I mean, come on. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Here's the other thing too. Philly's got a long freaking way. It's not like, okay, he gets there and he turns Philly around. I know he did that with the Islanders. Jesus, it's not like with Philadelphia, it's not like, oh, they've played defense at some times, but just had an offensive-minded coach that abandoned all defensive structure. No, Philadelphia hasn't played defense since the freaking inception of the team. They've always been an offensive-minded, very little structure in the defensive zone. You want to talk? Maybe he's worried about health complications that could happen. He says it can't be $7 million if I'm going to Philly. I'm going to need a heart transplant. I'm going to need to have a double bypass because of the heart attacks I'm going to have with the lack of defensive structure that the Philadelphia defense is giving. He's going to need so many surgeries and so many off days. He said it's going to have to be more than 7. It's got to be $10 million a year, Grump.
I'll put it to you this way. If you got a Philadelphia, you got to have a damn brain transplant. Play for that shithead.
I was about to say, maybe he doesn't want to have to deal with the Philly fans.
Yeah, believe me, he's not. It's not going to be Powder Puff Town like it is at the Islanders.
You're great, Barry. Everything you do is fantastic.
He might not last 6 months there. If they don't win,
Phil did send me something too, saying that there's Winnipeg is offering Barry Trotz free beer for life.
Some local brewery did that, kind of like what
Blue Line,
the Bagel Company
did, John Tavares,
right? Yeah. The Bagel Company did with John Tavares.
Blue Line Deli, good bagels too, Grumpy. You and I had one of their bagels. Good bagels at Blue Line Deli. Do you not remember, Grumpy? We were at a meetup.
It didn't work. I'm saying those things don't work. Maybe Barry likes vodka. I don't know. Maybe beer
free vodka shots every time Barry Trotz comes in.
I just find it interesting. He turned down $7 million plus a year.
I haven't seen that anywhere. The offer. That's why I was like, I haven't had a chance to look again. I'm out of the loop on those. That seems like a lot of money. Again, I couldn't tell you because I'm not up to date on that. Maybe that is correct. Maybe that's not correct. But I mean, like Philly has a lot. I think Philly, if you're a coach of Barry Trotz echelon, you're not looking at Philly. I know he interviewed there, but that I feel like has to be one of the worst case. I'm not trying to shit on Philly or anything like that. That has to be one of the worst case scenarios for him and his system. Simple as that. They've always been a heavy forecheck, heavy offensive attack. Even under Lane Vigneault, they were like that. And now Barry Trotz is going to come here and he's going to say, slog it out defense. We need to win games 2-1. We all need to worry about defensive structure. We need to worry about fighting for every inch. Does it seem like Philly does that? Have they done that recently?
They don't have enough 30-year-olds on that team to please Barry Trotz. He looked at the makeup of the team and says, man, these guys are 24, 25 years old. I ain't coaching those guys. Give me some 40 or 45-year-olds. Give me some 40-year-olds I can throw back on defense to get walked around.
You know what? I saw a tweet that said, no, I'm not saying the Islanders should bring back Zdeno Chara, but he was, I think he said, either the or one of the most underrated Islanders this last year. And I literally just laughed my ass off, Grumpy. I couldn't contain myself. And this is, again, my gosh, I was blown away by it. Somebody who works in that sphere, who works in the sphere of talking about the Islanders, tweeted something like that. And I was just like, maybe you're watching a different Big Z than I was. Maybe you were just completely closing your eyes every time Big Z was good for at least 1 or 2 freaking walk-arounds every single night. Every single night, get completely walked around and provide either a 2-on-1 or a 1-on-0 against the goalie. Every freaking night. It was without question. He did some things very well. right? He did a good job of being physical, did a good job of being a guy who was an energy guy, did a good job of swinging games with fights, not denying that. But when you're talking about defensive play, holy shit, he was abominable. And he played top 4 minutes for us. I wouldn't call him the most underrated Islanders or one of the most underrated Islanders. I mean, he kind of got what he got and deserved what he got regarding praise and hatred.
He should have got moved at the deadline. That's what should have happened.
Was that?
He should have got moved at the deadline. That's what he should have got. He's certainly not underrated. If anything, anyone who thinks he was great last year overrated him. He was a poor defenseman, just was. Nothing about what he's been and what he's been to the sport, but at the end, at 45 years old, just not good enough anymore. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with saying that. He's certainly not underrated, though.
Yeah. I mean, when you look really quickly, I hate to harp on this one more time. If you look at Philly's defense, do you think when he hears the names like Ivan Provorov, Ristolainen, Cam York, Attard, Sanheim, and freaking Ryan Ellis, do you think he goes, oh, wow, those are guys that are going to play defense for me? Or does he think, oh, wow, those are guys who are going to be up the ice mentality 24/7? Cam York at his small stature is never going to be a guy who, oh, I'm playing more of a defensive defenseman role. Ryan Ellis in his career, even back in Nashville in years past, he's never been, I'm going to play more of a defenseman role. Neither has Sanheim, neither has Provorov. You just kind of think to yourself, I'm like, oh, I don't think it's a good fit there. Maybe they all will drink the Barry Trotz juice for the first year or two. I just find that highly unlikely.
Yeah. Like I said, Philadelphia sucks. I'm happy about that. Really happy. But, there's something we really need to talk about, TJ. How before you left, you were espousing how you thought that you were rooting for the Rangers to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning because you thought it would be worse for Islanders fans if Tampa Bay advanced over the Rangers. And what did I say? You're a moron. I think is exactly what I said.
I said this. I said if Tampa wins another cup, the 3 cups, and we've gone down this already. We spent hours on this conversation already. I don't think there's any need to re-bring it up.
No,
but
we don't. We don't. I'm just going to say you're the only person who said that. No one has said that. I don't know.
Said that.
Who?
Christopher C. And the many TJ fans and supporters on this show all agree with me, Grumpy. I think every single supporter of this show agreed with me 100%. They would rather see the Rangers beat Tampa Bay than Tampa Bay win another cup. But here's the thing. We don't have to worry about that. The Rangers are out of the pictures. Now we could just root for the Colorado Avalanche, and we don't have to worry about Tampa winning another cup.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm glad the Rangers lost. And I thought it was a stupid statement that you made, honestly. I called you on it immediately. I said, are you really an Islanders fan? Because you never root for the Rangers under any circumstance. Why would you root for the Rangers? Because Tampa was 2 Stanley Cups and a trip to the finals away of matching the Islanders' record of 19 straight playoff wins?
Okay, I don't care about 19 straight playoff wins for the fucking millionth time.
But that's what it is. That's what it is.
The only thing that matters is cups. It doesn't matter the freaking 3 extra series wins. That doesn't matter for shit. All that matters is the cups, Grump. The cup.
It's 19. It's 19 straight playoff wins. 19 straight playoff wins.
I know it's a record, but guess what? The cups are what matters.
Okay, so Tampa Bay would have to win this year's cup and next year's cup. That's not happening.
If they win this year's cup, I think it's more valuable than the 4 cups we won.
Here's the thing. Bottom line, as an Islander fan, you never root for the Rangers. I'm just trying to educate you because you come off as really being stupid when you say things like that.
Here we go again, back down that rabbit hole. Anyway, we're going to agree to disagree on that one. It doesn't matter.
Hey, people, tell me if TJ's right or wrong. Get wrong. Whenever you hit the cup, wrong. That's what it's going to be.
No team has ever won a cup with a player making 10 million plus a salary. I believe it. I mean, 10 million is over 1/8 of the salary cap. And a lot of times, if you've got one player making 10 million, you usually have another who makes 10 million or close to it. So,
okay, that's going to change.
I was about to say, as the cap continues to increase, that will change. That's correct.
I mean, how much money does McKinnon make? I mean, I don't know.
9 and change, isn't it?
I don't know. Long story short, I mean, I know McCarr makes $9.5 million a year. What? So if you have 10 guys making $9.5 million a year, I mean, come on. I don't think that matters at all.
Grumpy. I wanted to talk. I think we got derailed a little bit. You had also mentioned before I returned back, oh man, when you went on that monologue for a bit when I was using the bathroom, I forgot what else you mentioned. Bruce Cassidy, you mentioned the
Guys,
trade for Fiala and cornerstones. That's right, cornerstone pieces and pieces that were valuable, pieces that were, we couldn't afford to lose. You said Anders Lee was one of those guys. Now recap that really quickly for
the
people who
reason
just
was
happen to.
because he's the captain, and if you trade him, they would lose that culture. The guy who epitomizes that culture. That's him. He's Mr. Culture. Really? The whole team is guys in their mid freaking 30s. You're saying you need Anders Lee to hold this team together? No. Anders Lee, if you could move him, he's absolutely a guy that you get rid of. Absolutely.
He's got the
Here's
full
the thing. They don't say it's because of his ability. They never say it's because of his ability, what he brings, because he's the captain. I don't give two shits if he's the captain. He doesn't produce. Move him out. I'm sorry.
I would not be opposed either, grumpy old man. If he would be down to be moved, I would not be opposed to that at all. Here's the thing, though, it's completely up to his discretion. He's got complete pretty much control over that, right? I mean, like when Lou hands those items out, he hands them out like freaking candy. He's got the full no trade clause until the end of next year. And then it becomes a 15-team no trade list for 2014 through 2015 or 2024 to 2025. And then 2025, 2026, which is last year of his contract, he has no say. And I guess that's how they rationalized it, where they said, oh, okay, gotcha. Later on down the road, we can trade him away and give up draft capital to get rid of him. But yikes, man. That's a guy where I don't see any team lining up at the door. Again, he's got the full no trade clause. You'd have to be completely on board with wherever you want to go. Not going to happen. But he's not an invaluable piece to the team. We've said it before, and it was a hot take, and I'll say it again. Rip the C off of that jersey.
Yeah, I mean, he's not.
You're not the few. We are trying to rebrand with a new coach, right? We're trying to change things up a little bit. We're not making drastic changes, but guess what? Matt Barzal, the guy who needs to perform, the guy who needs to step up in a big way next year, the guy who needs to step into being, hey, I'm elite. I am the freaking guy. That you need to put all your freaking money in him, because if he's not doing it, guess what? Your team will not succeed. If Matt Barzal doesn't step up in a huge way next year and his point production's not up and you see him again, like things just don't look like they're clicking for him, you're in trouble. Simple as that. We had booked this guy as being an elite center, and I think he's got the talent to be an elite center. If he doesn't take that step to be an elite center, then you're back in a situation where you have two number 2 centers.
That's right. Like I said, I to me, Anders Lee, sorry. You're just not good. When the reason why you're a cornerstone is because you're captain of the team, that's just stupid. What the hell does that even mean? I want guys who produce. That's what I want. Guys who I can count on every night. That's what I want. I don't want a guy who can't skate, won't play defense. Guess what? He'll put up points when he's afraid, at the trade deadline, he wants to make sure some of his buddies don't get moved. So he's going to step up. And then he goes back into a coma that he was in the whole year. Yeah, sorry. That's not a guy I want as my captain. That's a captain of a losing ship. Get rid of him. He sucks. Put him on IR.
Grumpy, you forgot, Grumpy. It was because his knee started to feel better. Damn it, Grump.
Yeah, he's so full of shit. He's fine. He was skating last May. They thought he was going to be ready for the playoffs. And then he's into March and or he's into December. Oh, his knee is still bothering. Bullshit. Everything's a lie on that.
It took a while to get his mental psyche back, Grump.
Yeah. Right.
I've come back from injuries before. It does take a while. It doesn't take months and months and months.
And I'm going to say again,
it seriously does take about a month. For me, it took about a month or so.
It's easier to come back in hockey from a knee injury because a lot of the time you're grinding as opposed to other sports where you're running, pounding those feet every single step you take. Totally different. Are you trying to count to 20? I know it's a struggle for you.
No.
I don't know what you're talking about. He's over. I don't know. He's looking at something. I don't know what he's looking at. I don't know what he's talking about. So, what the heck?
Okay,
I don't know.
so you remember how he went on that really hot stretch after the playoffs? Do you want to take a guess, right? I wonder if the last 17 games of the season, if his knee started to flare back up again and he started to lose that confidence in the knee. The last 17 games of the regular season, he accounted for 3 assists and 3 goals. 6 points in the last 17 games.
There you
So
go.
I'm just wondering if the mental psyche got all discombobulated again.
Yeah, like I said,
He got hot right at the trade deadline when a lot of players got hot on our team to start winning a few games to say, no, we got to keep this core together. We're going to fight for the players in this room. It's funny. Last 17 games, 6 points in the last 17 games.
like I said, 2 weeks before the trade deadline came, 2 weeks before the trade, a whole bunch of those veterans started picking their game up, Brock Nelson included. And then as soon as
6 freaking points in the last 17 games. This is a guy who plays on a top 6 role for you, plays on a first freaking line power play. 6 points in the last 17 games.
Because he sucks. It's because he's average. So he, 2 weeks before or a week before the trade deadline, he starts picking his game up. Nelson starts picking his game up. Bailey starts, all these guys start picking their games up. All the vaunted veterans, right? And then as soon as the trade deadline, we believe in this core. Look at this, because Lou Lamoriello is so freaking old and washed up. He's like, I didn't remember what they did the first part of the year. Well, look at them now. I believe in them. And as soon as he doesn't make a deal, what happens? They go right back in the tank where they were the whole year. Sorry. That's on the GM.
Do you want to take a guess what his – because, right, we never did.
I don't even care. All I know is he sucks. I don't even need to look at stats to know that he blows. I don't. He's average. His name is Average Andrews for a reason. He's an average hockey player who makes an above average salary with a ridiculous no trade clause, and he's just an average captain too, because we know he's blackballed players in the organization before. That's not the guy I want as a leader of this team.
Did that with Josh Hosang. Here's the thing. Josh Hosang didn't pan out. Josh Hosang probably wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough to play in the NHL. People always say, well, the Islanders rushing Josh Bailey really affected his growth as a player and affected him. Right? If you use that same ideology, you could argue the same exact point with Josh Hosang. I'm not going to do it because I don't argue that point with Josh Bailey. Josh Hosang had talent, wasn't good enough to stick it out as an everyday NHLer. Just plain and simple. Right, no doubt about that. He did happen to get a little. Did happen to get a little bit of an issue there. Josh Hosang in the locker room that we do understand was Anders Lee confronted coach about, but again, have no idea what it was, how serious it is, etc. That being said, during that trade deadline push, 20 points. Anders Lee had 49 points or 46 points on the year. 20 points came in a 14-game stretch.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what I told you at the time it was happening.
Came in a 14-game stretch. Was his knee just not feeling good then? We need to go ahead. When we have the people on this summer, Grumpy, who called us crazy, who said, oh, you don't know what you're talking about that with the knee injury, because I'm calling Phil's facts out. Phil, you better come prepared on that one, Phil.
It wasn't
all
Phil.
It
wasn't Phil.
Phil did it too. Phil did it too, Grumpy. Phil did it too.
It wasn't Phil.
20 points in 14 games.
Here's
then
the thing.
An ice cold in the last 17.
Here's the thing. I called it as it happened. He was lazy all year skating. He would not skate back and play defense. All of a sudden, a week and a half before the deadline, he's hustling back and forth. It was noticeable. It was noticeable because we called him out earlier in the year for not coming back and back checking, being lazy and slow. Then all of a sudden, a week and a half before the deadline, he's hustling up and down the ice. Nobody gets dealt because that's what he wanted. That's what he was hoping for, to keep everyone back together, keep a bunch of losers back together, because we've never won anything ever with this group of players. Not one thing. Never won anything. Okay? Never won a division title, never won a conference title, never won a Stanley Cup. Great. Those are not guys you keep together. And then as soon as everyone was kept together, not hustling back on the defensive end. Same stuff. Like I said, those are guys I don't want a guy like that as my captain. You know who I want as my captain? The guy who at the end of the year was so pissed off that everybody else was dogging it out there that he was fuming and calling them out without mentioning names. That's right, Matt Barzell. Absolutely. That's the guy I want to invest in.
That sounds like something Matt Barzal did, Grumpy. But yes, 14 games, 11 goals, 9 assists. Grumpy, we are going to go ahead and read our ad read, get to some comments, because I know you have to make it to your Lightyear movie. We might not get to all the comments. We apologize if we don't. We will be on this Saturday covering the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Colorado Avalanche in a live stream format. I know the Islanders aren't playing, but we'll get you some live streams, especially because, man, it's a Stanley Cup Finals. But hockey fans, this ad to you, by the way, is brought to you by DraftKings, this podcast. Hockey fans, the pursuit for a Stanley Cup is on, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has an unbelievable offer for the most exciting playoffs in sports. New customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what, win or lose. So you can bet on the Tampa Bay Lightning, or you can bet on the Colorado Avalanche, win or lose. Hey, as long as you put $5 on it, you can win $100 in free bets. If you're looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the playoffs, you can do just that with DraftKings same game parlays. You can create your own parlay by combining multiple bets, which means teams will win, like betting on which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more. It's your shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN and bet just $5 on any team to win. Get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes in the description for additional details.
TJ, that was a new ad read for you, and you almost pulled it off.
It was a consistent ad read that we did a lot of time, but I took a week off and I made a little mistake. Matthew S saying, wow, really late. Sheesh, I know. It's TJ time. I know it is. David D says, I want to see what grumpy old man says about TJ. He gets stuck in the toilet seat. He gets stuck to the toilet seat. Oh, no. Sal P said, welcome back, fellas. Look at Sal, Grumpy. Look at him here. The Giga Chad himself wearing the Grumpy's Groupies merchandise. You could find that in the link in the description below, Grumpy Old Man. That's where you can find a merchandise store. You could find the Grumpy's Groupie shirt that Sal's wearing. You could find this, the Enemy of the Cartel, which is the Grumpy Old Man doing a little cross check like that.
That's right.
Yes. Welcome back, though, Matthew S. says. Thank you, Matthew. Veritas and Victor says, Rangers are done. Islander fans' offseason can officially begin.
Let me tell you something. Watch out for the Rangers going forward, though.
We've gone over this before, man. I tell you, it's not it's not bad. The Islanders are not. The Rangers are. I'm sorry, the Rangers are not in a bad situation with the young core that they have. They're a team that could say, "Hey, we're adding solid defensive defensemen away from being a team that could really make another run."
Yep, agreed. Shesterkin was fantastic.
Drew L said, "Welcome back, TJ. Did you get the new setup, or did you move?" Yeah, we wound up moving. So that's another reason I was late today. So we had an event there with the lovely Paige, and had to rush over and try to get some of my setup here, some technical issues as we're setting up. But yes, we're all good on that side. Veritas Invictus says, and thank you for noticing, Drew. Veritas Invictus says here, I hope Mitch Korn stays as goalie coach.
So do I. I think he's great.
Yep. Kay says the Avalanche have no goaltending.
True.
What you watching, Grumpy?
I just put on the last 2 minutes of the third period of this game, and
it's going to go to overtime, Grumpy. So
I'm going to tell you what, Colorado's in trouble.
Okay. Paul W says, go get a sniper, please, Lou.
I agree.
John M says, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome, John. Oh, John, I forgot to mention this. I saw a message. John wanted me to tell you to wear the Auburn jersey, Grumpy, because they're going to the College World Series in baseball, Grump.
I will wear the Auburn shirt tomorrow during the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man podcast.
Eddie says, go Bolts. Vertus Victor says, Bruce Cassidy out in Boston. Shocking.
Hockey coaches, they get moved pretty frequently.
That's why when people are so shocked that Barry Trotz wasn't fired, I'm like, I said, coaches don't have an infinite lifetime with how long. Neither do general managers either. Hate to be that guy, right? I know we've fallen on really tough times in the past, and now we're just starting to see a little bit of the light. But this is kind of what's expected from good teams and good franchises, right? They expect to be consistently in the playoff picture, and if they're not, they need to look other direction.
just to let everyone know, Pat Maroon just took a really dumb penalty right in the last 2 minutes, throwing the puck out of the rink. You know they weren't going to call anything. They have to call that one. The playoff hero of the last 2 years. Will he be the GOAT in game one? Let's find out.
The scapegoat, that is. Well, Grumpy, come on.
No,
Come on,
the GOAT.
Grumpy.
The
Finish up.
GOAT. The GOAT.
Brian J.
Okay, back in
Brian
the old
J
days,
says,
you were a hero or you were a GOAT.
hold on. A hero or GOAT? GOAT is the
That's
greatest
right.
of all time.
No. GOAT used to be like, like a freaking Billy Goat.
GOAT now, for people who use the word GOAT, it stands for greatest of all time.
Because
not
they're too
scapegoat.
lazy. If they're too lazy to say greatest of all time, I'm not buying in. You're a hero or you're a GOAT, period.
You're just too old, Grumpy, to keep up with the times.
Hey, you know what? I'm sorry that people in today's age can't speak words.
Brian J says Tampa in 6. Frank K says, sounds like Trotz wanting to go home was buckshot. He wanted to be like Mike Milbury as a coach, general manager. I'll be booing his ass when he comes back to UBS Arena. Oh, okay, so maybe he wants to have more control. My God. Tell me that wouldn't be a freaking colossal nightmare.
No way.
It's tough enough already for the head coach to do his job, let alone to say, oh, here go. I'm going to be the general manager as well. I'm going to take two people's jobs, and I'm going to do it by myself.
Yeah, not Barry Trotz. I'm sorry.
Paul W. said, yeah, the Flyers offered Trotz $7 million. He said no. How funny is that? My gosh.
Like I said, maybe it is a power thing. Maybe it's a
come
power
on,
thing.
Grumpy, let's focus up. 2 minutes left in the game. It's going overtime. I promise you that. I've seen in the future the game is going to overtime. Matthew S. says, TJ, it's your fault. Tonight's baseball results so far and the hockey game turning quickly. Oh, goodness. David D. says, I really think we should trade Varlamov for a pick. He would be a hot commodity. Lots of teams need goaltending, and they could free up enough cap space to get a goal scorer. I was about to say, that's a guy that can be moved. You could trade Semyon Varlamov. You could free up cap space and get some draft capital back in return, which we desperately need. Those are two things we need. We do not need a backup goalie making more than our starting goalie. We don't need a guy who plays 30 games a season to be making $5 million a year. Simple as that.
Very true.
Yep. Drew says now Cassidy is in Vegas. Smart hire for them short term. I agree.
Agreed.
Thank God the Rangers are gone, says Matthew S. Brian J says they need to sign Johnny Gaudreau or trade for Alex DeBrincat. I don't. Are they shopping DeBrincat?
DeBrincat, yes.
DeBrincat. Sorry.
Yes, they are. They are. They do have him on the block. He scores. And he hustles. He plays ball. He plays both way player. Little short, but he could help.
Paul W says, rest in peace, New York Rangers. Christopher C says, welcome back, boys. Nice hair transformation, DJ. Oh. I think that means my hair looks good today.
You look like Gumby. Your hair is kind of sticking up there, jutted up
good.
there.
Good. I like that, Grumpy. If it's different and people like it, I'm good for it. Ariel C said, we're probably going to get Fiala and Chikrin.
I don't think you get both.
That's a lot. We're going to have to trade away. I'm just not sure we have enough. If Lou does nothing and sign not a star and doesn't sign a star, he should be fired. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
You can't have more of the same. You have to make drastic changes. This team, you have glaring holes, just like we said. Boston has work that needs to be done this offseason. The Islanders have work that needs to be done this season, just like a lot of teams every offseason have work that need to be done. We're one of those teams.
If you don't make moves to make the team better, you should have just blown it up. That's what you should have done.
Drill said, TJ just needs an overhead lamp, and then he's good. I just don't have my lights plugged in, so I'll get my lights plugged in next time. I just was in a rush.
An hour and a half late, and
I was
an hour and 45 minutes late, and you were too rushed. Okay.
I'm just in a rush, Grumpy. Veritas Invictus says, yes, was a very good hire for Vegas. I was wondering if Lou had waited, but we'll never know.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe he's trying to – that's a good point. Maybe he's trying to wait to say, okay, I'm the best option out here. You're going to have to give me a general manager position too. I don't know. I don't know if that's what he's asking for. You don't interview for head coaching jobs, 3 of them, if you're not planning on coaching again. Hell, I mean, how many head coaching positions are open? 10? I don't know how many. I assume it's like in a double digits, low double digits, and you've interviewed with 3 of those teams. So you've interviewed with like 15 to 20% of the head coaching opportunities there are out there, and you're not looking for a job. I don't buy that.
I don't think I don't think it's that many teams with head coach openings.
Oh, it's not even double digits?
I don't think so. I mean, does it even matter? It's not. There's not double-digit openings right now. There are not.
Somebody do it for us and let us know. Sorry. Because Grumpy wants to keep this moving. Verit has to fix it. Yeah, okay. Paul W. says here, I wonder where Letang goes.
I think he'll sign back with Pittsburgh.
Matthew has said, don't be hating on Phil's facts.
Phil.
I'll be happy. Phil said the only day that works good for him is game 6. If there's a game 6, he'll be on game 6 with us. That would be a fun one. Hey, man, that could be what Grumpy?
Is that necessary?
What? To have Phil on?
Yeah. Is that necessary, really?
Alexander says, hey, guys, what's up? Hope you had a great vacation, TJ. Thank you, Alexander. I did. Who is Alexander? Is that an actual Miami Dolphin or somebody who's like, what's going on there?
I don't know. I can't see it, but if that's a Miami Dolphin, I'll tell you what, I'm not picking them to come in second this year.
No, I think it's just somebody dressed up as a
Dolphin. They just look like fans, and I think that's Alexander.
That Dolphin fan looks like a maniac down there with his helmet on, ready to go. Yeah. He's trying out. He's like Vince Pompey, right? Who's the guy from Invincible?
Vinny. I don't know. You messed up his name. Papal. No, I know his name. If you wouldn't have said it and butchered it, I would have known. Next comment.
Oh my God.
Papali.
Oh, is it Papali?
I don't know. When you mess up a name so bad and I can't remember it. I think it's Vince.
Oh, Papali. Invictus was the movie about with Nelson Mandela about the rugby. So I got the movie wrong too. Invincible, I think is what it is. Oh my God. I don't know. I one thing we haven't missed on Grumpy is me not knowing what's going on with the with media.
No comment. Next comment.
Hold on a second. I'm pulling up, damn it. It's Vince Papali. You're right.
That's what I said.
You got it, Grumpy. Okay, give me a sec here. I don't have my normal clicker, so you have to forgive me. Nick D says here, Grumpy, don't worry about looking at the clock. We'll get it. Nick D says, TJ Grumpy, how you guys doing tonight? Happy to see you. We missed you, Grump.
Thank you, Nick.
Nobody missed a Grumpy. Alexander says, welcome back. Brian J says, TJ, you're right. And I'll take that as TJ, you're right about everything. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Trotz's ego is disgusting, says friend K. Yeah, maybe. Drew L says, and shockingly, Trotz still hasn't been hired somehow. Maybe the NHL knows what Grumpy knows about Barry.
He sucks. He's a good regular season coach, and he is.
Scott L said Barry Trotz said no to a $7 million a year contract from Philly, and he bought a house in Nashville.
Maybe he wants to go back there.
I don't think they take him back.
He never won anything there either.
If Lou trades his first round, then we riot. I'm telling you, he's going to. It's almost I put that right. Nobody knows what he's going to do. I just have that freaking gut feeling.
It's like a throw the remote moment. Bam. Throw it.
Could you imagine we get prep, we do all this research, we have a live stream during the draft, and it's like the Islanders are up at number 13. We have a trade to announce. The Islanders have traded away their first-round pick, Oliver Wahlstrom, next year's first-round pick, Atu Ratu, everybody worth a value for Kevin Fiala. I mean, they wouldn't do something. I'm obviously being hyperbolic, but still.
For the pissant.
Brian J says, F Trotz, take it deep. And the Flyers also hired Tortorella, or could they hire Tortorella? Such a bad hire for them. I don't think they hired Tortorella yet, did they? I know he was in the running.
Don't know. I didn't get anything on that.
I didn't get anything on Tortorella either. Hold on. Okay. The Flyers are to hire John Tortorella.
Expected to hire him?
The Flyers to hire John Tortorella as next head coach. These are what these is. I just Google searched it about 12, 13 hours ago. This is, again, they're still, I don't think it's official yet, but it looks like the writing is on the wall at these type of items. Okay. Breaking news. Kevin Weeks put it out there. I'm told the Flyers have offered their head coaching position, John Tortorella. More negotiation required for a deal to be completed. Okay.
All right.
So they're apparently heavily. I'll tell you one thing, John Tortorella. I'm never a big fan of him as a coach. I do not like John Tortorella as a coach.
He's very short term.
Yes, absolutely. Brian J said, I heard Pasternak wants out.
He's not going
Imagine
anywhere.
how expensive he'd be.
Yeah.
You talk about expensive players. That's a guy who's top. What do you say? Top 20, top 25 player in the NHL.
He's really good in the regular season, not so good in the postseason.
Okay. Frank K says Trotz wants full control over whatever team he goes to.
He won't get hired then. He will not get hired.
A Drump. Word is that Tortorella wants to be included in on GM duties now or down the road, or Trotz wants to be included on GM duties now or down the road. That's why. That's why.
He will not get hired if that's his demand. Sit on a bench.
Matthew has a leaky bladder, but get him straight. Eddie says, "I love you, TJ, but you got to see a doctor." Yeah. Brandon Gaines, I'm sorry, saying, in addition to Boston, I think Washington has a chance to miss the playoffs. Their core is older than ours, and their goaltending is garbage.
They're still younger than we are as a team overall. They have younger guys in the lineup, and they beat us out by 16 points this season. So that's all. They're a good playoff team. They're a good regular season team as well.
Hall of Fame caliber players are one of those. They're those type of players that even as long as they're not playing till they're 44 years old, most Hall of Fame caliber players can still play at a very high level, even into the mid to late 30s. A guy like Alexander Ovechkin is one of those. Yeah,
still pretty good.
Fantastic shot. I mean, hell, he still almost won the Maurice Richard Trophy again this year. The guy is an unbelievable shot. That's not going away anytime soon. The guy is a physical monster. He's a guy who trains like a maniac out there. Eventually, time will catch him. I don't think it catches him next year. Nick D said, did hear that the Canucks announced, did you hear what the Canucks announced the other day? They want to change the culture of the Canuck from being a country club. Too bad Lou can't do the same.
Here's the thing. The next GM who comes in will change the culture. He will. I'm telling you what, if they hire a new GM, all one of these fat cat players, they're all gone. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And Lou's not going to be here to the end of some of those contracts. He just won't.
Vancouver, speaking about them really quickly, they've got a lot of talent on that team. They do, right? When you talk about a team with talent, right? They don't have the right pieces, though, and then they definitely don't have the right coach. They didn't have the right coach. I mean, Green was a bad coach. He
was let go in season.
Better. Go ahead.
Well, isn't it? Was it Julian or Boudreau?
Green was fired midway through the season, or is it Boudreau? It's Boudreau. I'm sorry, Bruce Boudreau is the coach. I'm sorry. I get my Boston coaches confused. And then Paul W says here, "Where's the Islanders sign, TJ?" I don't know if we're gonna put that up. I don't know if we're gonna put that up. We'll have to. I don't know. We're trying to work something out with the wife where we'll figure.
Whoops! Crack that whip. Do.
Oh man, we're working something out, or maybe we're gonna paint something on the wall. I don't know.
Whip it. No, that's not happening. If she won't let you put the sign up, you think she's
I don't know. That's what I'm
paint something on there, please.
I don't know, Grumpy. We'll get something on the wall. Maybe we can paint a mural. I'll say, hey, after you get home with your rotation, I need you to paint me a mural of all these Islander players. And as one player gets traded, I need you to paint over that and readjust.
Okay, Whippy, let's go with the comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Grumpy, come on now. Brian J said, I heard that they want, or I heard, I don't know what that means. Alexander says, guys, I'm applying for the GM job and I'm hiring Grumpy Old Man as a head coach and TJ as an assistant. I'd be the guy who would steal the spotlight from the Grumpy Old Man. That's for certain.
That's for certain.
I heard there was no truth to the Wallstrom thing and Lambert likes him. I hope that's true.
So
I hope that's true. But what does Lou think? And here's the thing. With Lambert being a first-time head coach, does he have as much pull as a guy like maybe Barry did? Well, I heard Kane could also be on the radar. Patrick Kane, Grumpy.
Oh, okay. Patrick Kane. No, he's too old. It's too old. Sorry. I like Patrick Kane. Still really good. I don't want to invest in a guy who's 33. Don't want to do it.
Thomas B said trade Lee. He's got that no trade clause. Who's the next Leo Komarov? LOL. That's who we need to draft. We don't want any third liners for certain. Fiala should be an option, D or E for the Islanders.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him at all.
Randy Gaines says, what if it doesn't take a first rounder or Wallstrom or Beauvillier to acquire Fiala? Minnesota lacks leverage financially.
Yeah,
if it
but
doesn't take that much, hey, if it's a second round pick, and let's say a guy, it's not going to be though.
Okay, but there are other teams who can offer Minnesota way more than we can. Way more.
And I understand, right? Minnesota's kind of with their back against the wall, but Fiala is one of those guys who I think is very highly regarded amongst the NHL, despite what Grumpy says, very highly regarded, and he's going to have a market, whether they're in financial trouble or not. It's the same thing like a good general manager doesn't trade away a guy like Devon Toews for 2 second-round picks. A good general manager doesn't trade away a guy like Kevin Fiala for 2 second-round picks, even if they're up against the cap.
For all the years that Minnesota's played us, do you ever remember Kevin Fiala doing anything against a team that played defense? The answer is no. I didn't even know he played for them till the end of the year. I'm like, oh, Kevin Fiala, what's all hubbub about this fucking clown, this pissant?
The Islanders 91 says not top 4, but who's our top 5 or who is our 5-6 pairing? I think hopefully Robin Salo and a guy like Mayfield
and Scott Mayfield.
Yep.
Absolutely.
If you keep Salo, right, if you don't have to trade him for Chikrin, that's a guy who's in there, I think, as your bottom pairing defenseman. Brett W says, speaking of Tavares, since the Leafs are in cap hell, do you think they'll trade him? No, I don't think so. Honestly, he's a guy with the contract he has. I'm not sure many teams are jumping on that contract. He's still valuable right now at the contract. He will not be later on.
He's worth his money more than Anders Lee is worth his money.
I do agree with that. Trading to
John
Tavares.
John Tavares makes other players better. Anders Lee does not.
Trading to 4 is a mistake.
It depends on what you get back. He's not a
Brian J said no on trading to 4. Matthew S said no on trading to 4. And then Mike C says here, keep trading the prospects. We have no farm system.
That's right, Mike.
What?
I said that's right, Mike.
But he's talking about that's why we should not trade.
I know. I know. Okay. He's right. We shouldn't be trading the prospects.
If he's required to make a trade to bring in a younger guy like Kevin Fiala, I'm not
okay. No, make it somebody else because I don't want the pissant period. I don't want him at all.
Jeremy Ford said the 5-6 defenseman pairing is going to be Potvin and Morrow. Good evening, fellas. Happy Wednesday evenings. Have a great show. Third pairing, is likely to be Salo and Mayfield. Absolutely.
Yep. Jeremy always smart.
I would trade a second rounder in Bodie Wild for Jacob Chikrin. Hey, if they're willing to take something that low, I'd jump on that because we know that Bodie Wild has zero future with us here. Didn't even play in a Swedish Elite League last year. So just take that with a grain of salt. Played in the tier underneath. Wasn't even on the top line. So he's got a long way to go. Brian J says trade Brock. He's not with Barry anymore. He's only going to score 20 goals now.
You're going to see Matt Barzal getting more ice time than Brock Nelson.
As he should. Yep. Brett W says throw in Josh Bailey.
Yeah.
Maybe trade down and keep getting picks. If somebody falls to you, select the best player available, even if that's a defenseman, which I know Grumpy doesn't agree with me in.
Then try to trade up. Okay, a forward is going to drop as opposed to a defenseman.
Probably. Brandon Gaines says here, would you be cool with the top 4 of Pelech, Dobson, Salo, and Pulak? I think Salo's skill set is a bigger complement to Pulak rather than Mayfield.
Salo's not ready for that type of ice.
Maybe he can grow into that. I didn't see
not
it
next year.
I didn't think he's a guy who could move into a top 4 easily. He's a guy who probably on a good team, right? He's a bottom pairing defenseman, and maybe he's in a spot to where if somebody gets hurt, he could step up and play top 4 for a few months as an injury happens. But that's not a guy yet I feel comfortable saying, I want you. If you're trying to compete, then I say you're playing top 4. Jeremy Ford says here, I'm sorry, Grumpy, go ahead and respond.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Jeremy Ford says, totally agree about trading a pick. TJ Dobson took a bit of a drop regarding his draft class, and it's not a pick that you want to miss out on.
True.
Yep.
Don't trade first-round picks.
Yes, throw in. Yep. Salo is in the farm, says Ken R. Yeah, absolutely he is. At least Holmstrom is 4.25 million cheaper and could skate better than Bailey.
No, Bailey's a better skater than he is. He totally unimpressed. I'm totally unimpressed by Casper Holmstrom. Totally.
Alexander says, "Hey, Grumpy, watch out. Sir Holmstrom or Simon Holmstrom was a first-round pick for a reason."
Yeah, because we had our heads up our asses when it was our turn to pick.
And then Islanders 91 says, "Contract year for Mayfield. I'm expecting a better season than last year for him. I thought he played well last year, or he had struggled a bit, but I mean, he's a guy whose contract was extremely valuable. There's no way we will be able to re-sign him back next year. Just not going to happen.
No way.
He's going to make too much money, and he deserves to get paid, and I hope he does get paid." Jeremy F. said, "As a professional, I hope he gets paid. He's been earning freaking pennies his entire career playing playing like that at $1.45 million a year for what he's produced. Unbelievable. What a real deal we've had." Jeremy F. says here, "To me, Mayfield doesn't come across as the kind of player that will change his effort, whether it's a contract year or not. I would love to keep him, but if the right offer is there, you got to let him go."
Agreed. I think he's going to get paid. He'll get paid next year.
Yep. Yeah, he's always a guy who puts 100% effort in.
Absolutely.
So, Alex H says, "Would you guys trade for David Pastrnak?"
He's going to cost an arm and a leg and maybe some toes and fingers.
Arm and leg, toes and fingers, probably a kneecap, anything and everything. Your spinal column. He's going to be expensive, man. Really expensive. They're not trading him for nothing. And if that's the case, we don't have the ability to do that. Not and keep our team somewhat, out of the gutter going forward. Yeah, Grump. I got to show that players that, okay, gotcha, about the $10 million over a year or $10 million player or $10 million contracts, not winning a playoff or not winning a cup. Jeremy F. said, "It would be nice if Wild or Bolduc make some big strides this year to make Mayfield more expendable."
I don't think they like Wild, and Bolduc did not step up. So who knows?
Remember how we said that they would be more than happy to trade a guy like William Dufour? I think if Bodie Wild had value, I think they'd be more than happy to trade a guy like Bodie Wild with what happened this last offseason about not getting his COVID shot.
He bucked the system. They don't like that.
Nope. You don't comply. Don't like it. That's right. The Islanders 91 says, "Mayfield needs to read your comments and get fired up to prove you're wrong. It's a win-win. If not, I like Salo." Scott L says, "Could you see Varlamov being traded to either Toronto or the Devils?"
Why not? I'd move him to Toronto in a second. Yeah, it would help Toronto out. But if it's anything that facilitates a trade to bring in William Nylander, I'm all for it. How about Mayfield and Varlamov for Nylander, and even throw in a second-round pick? I don't know. We'd have to have some money coming back this way, honestly.
Yes. And make the deal work.
Yeah, but I'm willing to do that. Whoever gets the best player wins those deals.
Alexander says, "I think you can get a late first rounder for Varlamov."
I don't know about that.
Think about what Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury is a rental. What do you go for? Second-round pick. Marc-Andre Fleury is a better goalie than Varlamov. Varlamov still does have a year left of contract and term still left, so maybe a little different. Drew L. He said he sent me something about the Athletic. I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to read that, Drew. I'll look at it later. I wasn't slighting Mayfield. I'm just suggesting he gives it his all the time. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love what he brings to the ice, and when paired with a complementary partner, he's more effective. Absolutely. Alexander says, "Not true. Mayfield, Grump, he's coming off of an injury, so he can resign Mayfield for cheap."
No.
Not $1.45 million cheap.
I think Alexander in that picture has been taken. He should be wearing a helmet when he's doing those headbutts.
I think he should headbutt the guy from behind. Boom.
Give him some concussion.
LLC says here, "I think a defenseman, Salo, isn't ready to play.
We need a defenseman.
I'm sorry. I don't think Salo's ready to play 16, 17 minutes a night." I agree.
Ariel, once again, spot on.
Alexander says, "Hey, NHL 22, Fiala is a superstar X Factor, Grumpy. Okay? That's all you need to know. If we got Chikrin back on the back end, it would be one of the best in the league. And then if you get Fiala or DeBrincat, we're rolling."
DeBrincat.
You
can call him DeBrincat. That's fine. I'm just not sold on Fiala. Now, DeBrincat.
Go ahead.
I'm for him. He's a smaller guy, but he's max effort. And he scores in crunch time. I'm just not a Fiala fan.
We don't have enough to trade for both of those guys. It's just I really think there could be one.
Oh,
what?
Nothing. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, the Brincat is going to be too expensive. Like when I look at it, I think viably we have, if we want to keep somewhat, hey, we're not going to completely mortgage off everything we have in the farm, which is already depleted to begin with. We have about room to make one trade for a playmaker, either on the defensive side of the puck or the offensive side of the puck, and you could sign a free agent. Has to be, I think, those combinations this offseason. Got to trade away players, got to trade away Varlamov, got to free up some cap. It can be done. You can't do it poorly, though. Chop it up, put it on the bulletin board anyway, says Allers91. And then the Islanders' worst scouting in the league. I don't know about that, Brian J. I mean, they did get Atu Ratu, but I mean, it was almost a no-brainer at that point, in my opinion. But they have had some bad picks in the past.
That's Lou Lamoriello's coaching staff.
Scouting staff. Frank says, hi, TJ Grumpy Old Man. Miss you guys. Hi, everybody.
Frank.
What's up, Frank? How are you? I trade Mayfield this offseason if it got me Kalen Addison plus.
I don't think they're going to move Mayfield. If they were going to move him, they should have moved him at the deadline. That's what they should have done.
I had to look up Kalen Addison to make sure I was familiarized with his game. I mean, he's a guy. He played most of the year in the A. I'm not sure. We're looking to compete now. They're not going to move for a guy like that. I'm not opposed. Kyle McLean. And then Lou does all the scouting, so we're done. Matthew S. said Die Hard. I really hoped you watched that movie Die Hard, TJ. I have seen Die Hard. Thomas B. said, gents, if Minyokov is still on the board at what? Minyokov is still on the board at 13, I'd jump at the chance. Pick the best player. But that's the same thing I say, too. It's the same exact. I think that's the defenseman. If I'm not looking at Korchinski, I'm not looking at Matt Nyuk. I'm looking at Pavel Minyokov. That's the only defenseman that in that range I say, yes, sign me up for. Big defenseman, moves well, agile. Again, offense. He's got the offensive ability. Also, is a big body, plays defense. Plays in the OHL as well, Grumpy, so he's not playing in the run and gun queue or anything like that. I'm not opposed, Thomas B. Alexander says, yippee-ki-yay, mother effer. And Die Hard ain't a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie.
It's not a Christmas movie. Sorry.
Daniel said, if we make a hockey trade, I'm all in on Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's an excellent two-way center. You can move Brock Nelson to Barzal's left wing.
Ugh, Brock Nelson on the wing. No. I love that baby, though.
There he is, Grumpy.
There he is.
Once again, Grumpy, where did you find this guy? John McClain.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
How about Joel Erickson or Joel Erickson. Grumpy?
No.
Frank there saying here, is it a basement? Is TJ in a basement office? No, this is just a spare room. So no basement office. Johnny Gaudreau is going to the Penguins. I hope not.
Well, then I guess that means that they're not going to sign Malkin and maybe even Letang.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Ariel C says, I wasn't too high on Fiala at first either, but he's definitely an upgrade over what we've got. And he hasn't played with anybody like Barzal. So, he didn't play much with Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah. He also didn't get any of the other team's top defensive forwards playing on him either. That helped. Here's the thing. And he's an upgrade over what we have. But to me, you sign a free agent there and you trade for the defenseman. That's what you got to do. There are no top-notch left shot defensemen available in free agency. Just aren't.
Got a comment here. Dave D says here, Johnny Gaudreau is going to the Penguins or the Devils. I hope not. Yes, Grumpy Old Man, I want Johnny Hockey. Don't trade it with the 13th overall pick or Bellows or Wallstrom. They didn't get a fair try there with Trotz.
True.
Black Phone looks great. Can't wait to see it either, says Ariel.
Yep. That was the other one, Black Phone.
Ryan J says, is D-Cut in the movie given the kiss with Buzz Lightyear?
I have no idea. We'll find out tonight.
D-Cut make an appearance. Michael T says, what's up, TJ? What's up, Grump? How are you guys? I hope you guys are both doing well. Thanks, Michael T. We're doing well. Love the picture. Grumpy, the town's mayor. That's how. Grumpy's the town's mayor. That's how he gets into movies for free.
True.
Oh, gosh.
True.
I'm so excited. My daughter and I are seeing Paul McCartney tomorrow night at MetLife Stadium. Like Bart Scott said, can't wait.
I heard he can't sing anymore either.
Really?
He's freaking 80 years old.
Wow, he's 80. Let me ask you this. Why the hell does he really need the money that bad? He's still going on tour?
I don't think so. I mean, but he's 80. His voice is not the same. It's not.
I guess Barry can't gamble with his older vets in Vegas now. Big sad.
Yeah, there you go.
Alexander says, TJ, we know you don't watch movies. Grumpy, go see Jurassic World. It's awesome.
Oh, Alexander, I saw it. I thought it was terrible. It was the worst of all the Jurassic Park movies by far.
Is Lou Lamoriello going to offer sheet somebody this summer? No.
Nope.
No way. 2 movies you got to see in theaters, Maverick and Jurassic World.
Maverick, yes. Jurassic Park, no.
Watch The Northman.
That's on Peacock Network right now.
Okay. Michael T says, I guess Vegas didn't think too much of Barry Trotz.
Not if he wants all the power. What's he? I'm sorry. No. Sorry, Barry. Talk about overplaying your hand.
What happened to the game?
Colorado won in overtime.
Yes. Colorado wins game 1. They strike in game 1, Grumpy.
They're in trouble. Tampa Bay is going to win that series.
Okay.
No doubt in my mind at all.
It's sad about Bellows and Wallstrom because they really have to treat this upcoming season as the rookie years. It's a damn shame.
They're going to get a legitimate shot this year, which is all you want as a player. They played well under Lane Lambert for 3 games.
Brian J says the Islanders are not making the playoffs next year, Grump.
I'm not committing to one way or the other yet. The offseason has not happened yet.
Michael St. CRY says, nothing wrong with a homosexual kiss. There are LGBT hockey fans and movie fans out there. There are boys and girls who know they're not hetero.
My problem with that is you're Disney and you're marketing a movie to 5- and 6-year-olds. Stop pushing a social agenda, period.
Yeah, I don't think they even notice.
I could care less if anyone's gay or not. I care less. Stop trying to push an agenda, though. Should not be doing that. It's a movie marketed for children. Don't do it.
Yeah. Michael T says, any gossip rumors about Trotz? Yeah, we covered that already. John Torello, the next head coach in Philly. Gossip about the fat egghead. Yeah, sure. Trotz can take it deep with Chara Stick. Noah W says here, do you think that the lineup is still set in stone, or do you think that Lambert will give guys that were in bad faith a chance, i.e., Salo, Bellows, etc.? I think they're going to have more of a chance. Yes.
And I'm
not sure how extensive. We won't know until he's head coach.
They're going to have to shake things up on the roster. Have to do it, which will mean that they're going to have to change the lines up.
Yeah, man, my neck is sore as hell, Grump. But yes, now Barry can grow out his facial hair again. Barry used to have facial hair.
He had a little mustache.
Did he really?
Yeah, a little mustache.
Long ago. Yeah, that's right. He did. That's right. In Washington. Yeah, he always had that.
Phil had it as his little poster because he was, slurping on the Barry teat. I'm glad he's gone. Bye, Barry. You no-job bastard, you.
Philly has
about overplaying your freaking hand.
Philly's got too many young guys for his liking. Speaking of Philly, do you think that Carter Hart is the answer in that?
No.
Here's the thing, though. It's tough to say. The guy's been shelled. It's like a quarterback who gets sacked 150 times a year.
No. How many years in a row does he have to be bad before you can say no? How many? What's 3 out of 4? He's been bad. No.
Jarrell's comment. Philly should offer Barry free weight loss program in his contract in lobotomy.
You have to have a lobotomy to go work for Philadelphia. True.
No, F Philly. Michael T said the Rangers are going to have issues. I'd like to see us get Ryan Strome from them. No, Ryan Strome's going to cash in this offseason.
Andrew Kopp is a guy who I'd like. If I was going to get anybody from the Rangers, Andrew Kopp's the guy I'd want.
Bill B says Trotz just bought a house in Nashville. It was in the Nashville Post yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay.
I hear Nashville's a really beautiful place to live.
Yeah, I've heard it's a pretty fun town to be in. It's a party town, that's for certain. You see all the bachelorette and the bachelor trips. We're going to Nashville. We're going to sing in the country bars. Drew L, let me know when you need to go, Grumpy, and I'll wrap things up. So,
okay.
Drew L says,
why don't you just do like selective picks. Everyone's that says TJ's wrong, TJ's wrong, TJ's wrong, TJ's wrong. That's when we're talking about the Rangers. So you can scroll down about another 20.
Grumpy, I'll let you read these comments, and I will go ahead and try to sort through a few so we can make.
Didn't Dustin Brown lose a C? No, he gave up his C to
no, Grumpy, read the comment right there.
Oh, no way Char Green makes the team next season, right? Yes, 100% agree. Neither one's back.
Oh shit! Here,
I can read them. I'll pick out the ones that didn't Dustin. I rooted for Tampa until they faced the Rangers. Now I root for the Bolts because I only want to beat by the best. Yeah.
Yeah, see a whole bunch of those. Yes, the Islanders, yes, the Islanders should be there. Yeah, did Dustin Brown lose a C? Yeah, you can already.
Gave it up to Kopitar. That's what a real captain does. That's what a real captain does. Yeah, guess what? I'm not the marquee guy on the team anymore. I'll still be here to support. You're the man. You think you're going to see that from Anders Lee? Absolutely not.
What do you think about that one? Tyler Adele, Grumpy. You remember, you got to read it aloud.
Tyler Adele. Don't think anyone is taking Varlamov unless we retain 50%. I don't know about
think you're
that.
wrong.
But here's the thing. I'm willing to retain 50% to get rid of him. As long as you get a cheap backup.
Oh, you can't retain 50%. The guy's still okay at $5 million. He actually has value left. Look what a good goal. He's a good goaltender. He's not elite, but he's good.
Okay.
Goodness gracious. At this point, TJ has walked a marathon when it comes to bathroom breaks compared to Grumpy. To be honest here, Grumpy, is there a moment in the podcast where you need to use the bathroom?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm able to control myself for whatever, a couple of hours, and then I'll, take a bathroom break.
There you go, Grumpy. I'll let you read that.
Man, this is from Alexander. Man, Paige cracking that whip. Whoosh. There'll be no signs for you.
Ron G said Tarasenko is in the last year of his contract. I just wish we rolled the dice on him last year when he was cheap. Is he going to be healthy again?
When we were all in. When we were all in.
We wanted to do that, to take the risk on him.
When we were all in, Stanley Cup or bust. And what do we do? Nothing. Bust. And you busted. Thank you.
Michael T said, get a fathead logo, TJ. Maybe I'll do that.
Put them up and take them down. That's right.
Maybe I'll do that. Sorry, we're not going to get to every comment, but we got to keep it moving along. I apologize. Okay, we're actually here. Oops. Yeah, we're here towards the end, Grumpy. Look at that. Rob G says, what's up? Can't wait for October again to start. The Islanders are rocking the house. Tyler C said, who's better in your opinion? Fiala, Forsberg, Bertuzzi, or somebody else? Grump, I'll let you give the breakdown each one of those players you think.
If I'm going to put them in order, and that's, of course, leaving out Gaudreau, who's number one, I go Forsberg, Pissant, and then Bertuzzi. I don't think much of Bertuzzi.
Forsberg is good, but it does bother me that he wasn't a contract year. Now he's an unrestricted free agent. It's the first time ever he's averaged a point a game in a season was the year of the contract year. That does rub me a little bit, make me question. Tyler Bertuzzi is a guy who is more of a complementary piece. I like Tyler Bertuzzi for a team that doesn't have grit and doesn't have guts. I think he's a guy who could provide a little bit. He's kind of like an Anders Lee-esque type player, more of a power forward, a guy who's not a fancy skater, a guy who's not a fantastic stick handler, a guy who will fight for pucks and be dirty, and he brings a little bit of that grit to his game. We're loaded with those. We don't need any more of those type of players. He does add a little bit of a scoring touch. Fiala, out of the ones you provided, is probably the one I like the best. That being
pissant. He's a pissant.
Alexander wants me to show you Igor Shesterkin's flops. Alexander, I don't have time. Grumpy wants to go ahead. We got to wrap this up. I was late. I apologize. Grumpy's got to run to the movies. But guys,
and Jurassic Park was the movie that I saw last week. Was Jurassic Park.
Okay, gotcha. So you'll have to give us a report on Lightyear tomorrow, Grumpy.
I will.
On TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, can be found in the link in the description below. Can also be found in the featured page on our YouTube channel, Grumpy. But what do you want to say before we wrap things up today?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Absolutely. And thank you, Grumpy. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Thank you. Took a little bit of time off, but again, we appreciate the support on the time back that we've come back. If you're new to the channel, we invite you to subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, follow on Twitter. And again, if you're one of the listeners, you've listened to this show for years, months, we invite you to try out TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It's a little bit more of a freewheeling podcast. We talk everything sports. We talk NHL, NBA, NFL, college sports, MLB, anything sports, and we have fan fights too. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. It's kind of just all over the place. There's not so much structure. It's not just Islanders. Right, we're in the offseason. Give it a try. Give TJ and the Grumpy Old Man a try. That's in the link in the description below. You could also find it as a featured page on a YouTube channel. It goes live on Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Sorry we didn't get to all the comments. Thank you again, Grumpy. Thank you for being an awesome co-host, Grump. We don't say it enough, but thank you, Grumpy.
Thank you. And just also, for the fan fight segments, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that Alexander gives us a bunch of those clips.
He does. And we also got Ice Wars now. There's a lot of good stuff to on that show. It's a great time. Grumpy and Old Man and I, we enjoy that podcast a lot. And I know a lot of the listeners of this show also enjoy that podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you so much. We're going to see you, number one, tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man at 9. The link in the description below, or as a feature page on YouTube. We're also going to see you on Saturday when we're covering the Colorado Avalanche against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Maybe Andy Francis is going to be on the show. We'll have to coordinate what days work well, but I know it will be bare minimum me and Grump. So we'll be there. We'll see you guys tomorrow and on Saturday. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Grumpy.
My pleasure.